Magic of prepping something ahead of time. I've got one already done here. I'm going to put my brush in the water as well. Quickly shake my paints up. First thing I'm going to do is paint the background. And let me get a bigger paintbrush because I want this one for doing the image, but I want a bigger one for the background there. So I'm just using antique linen. And then I'm going to use some of the tarnished brass just to get some darker areas. I tried to do as few colors as possible, not to make it too complicated, because I wanted more of the focus to be on the poinsettia and not on the background. You could use extra colors if you wanted to, or you could use a different color for your background. You could even go after this and do a little bit of texture stamping on there too. I think that would be really cool. And for this demo, I'm only going to do one coat. You could do more than one coat of the paint if you want. And you can tell I'm not too worried about only going one direction. I do want to make sure that all my white of my cardstock is covered. Once I've got it covered, I'm going to take a little bit of the tarnished brass. This is an older bottle, so it doesn't have the flip top on it. So I'm going to pour, that was pretty good. I was going to say I'm going to pour some out and hopefully I don't get too much. All right. Oh, that was too much on my brush. I didn't want that much. So I do want to try to get some darker areas around the outside, add a little bit of dimension. I'm just using my hand to hold it in place so that the cardstock's not moving around on me. Get some of that metallic off of there. A little bit more of the lighter colors. Lighter color. Blend it around a little bit so it's not so distinct, the differences between the dark and the light. I mean, I do like seeing certain areas with light and certain areas with dark, but what it was before was just a little bit too distinct between the darks and the lights. And once this is dry, you could even go back in and again give it a second coat. And I haven't worried too much about getting a little bit on the flower because the blue is going to cover that up. All right, just a touch of the dark in here and then I'll start working on the flower. There we go. I kind of like that background. It looks kind of like a stucco background there. Now I'm going to do the poinsettia. Now I'm going to start with the light blue and then I'll add the shadows with the dark blue. And I like this small round brush just because it gets right into the texture of the texture paste. So I don't end up having any white when I'm done. I can get into any nook and cranny that I need to. So once I have the whole petal covered, I'm taking some of the blue off of there and I'm just going to add the darker blue where it goes behind one of the other petals and feather it up. If by chance you lose too much of that dark blue, just go back in and add some more. If you don't add enough, or if you add too much and you want some of the light again, just rub your brush off and then add some more of the light. This paint is really wet right now, so it's very easy to blend it together. And once again, just doing one petal at a time. And if there's a end of your, or a tip of your petal that you can see through your cream and brass paint there, you can just use the tip of your brush to paint it in. It's a fun technique just to add a little bit of extra dimension to your card, something a little bit different. Different way to use your stamps, different way to use texture paste. But once again, it would be really cool in a mixed media project. You just want to make sure that you're using areas that are bigger, that will allow you to fit in there with the putty knife or with the palette knife. So you're just going to keep going like this with all of the petals until you get to the center. And once you've got your center one done, or sorry, once you've got all your petals done, you're just going to use a little bit of the brass. You definitely want to clean up off your brush first, because I can see a little bit of blue in there, and just use that to highlight the center of your flower. Once that is done, completely dry, you just add it to the front of your card. You could add a sentiment there if you want to, but you could always just put a sentiment in the inside of your card or whatever. I went, once this was done, I went and just added a little bit of, it almost looks like plaid or whatever, but just a little bit with my flat brush or whatever, just to add a little bit of extra dimension to it. But I actually like the way this background looks a little bit better. So your choice whether you like that or not, whether you want to add that or not. But there you go. That's how you paint with texture paste.